Bonjour, bonjour, bonjour! I am your humble French tarot reader / deck goblin marine, and today I wanted to do a VR to the hashtag midyeartarottag. This was a tag that was created by Chanel from Chanel's Days. I will make sure to leave her original video and her channel down in the description box. I love Chanel's channels, which as a French person, by the way, is hard to say. Chanel's channel. Definitely make sure to go and send her some love. This is a fun tag where we are invited to midway through the year, kind of take a look at our tarot practice, some of our recent fave decks, our biggest surprise, our recent deck crush, a deck that potentially disappointed us a little bit. It's a fun way to kind of have a look at the latest 6 months of our practice. As I think I did this tag ever since Chanel's created it. Was it last year or 2 years ago? I can't remember if I've done this twice or once already, but it's been a good time anyway. So I wanted to continue the tradition this year. If you're new here, you should know in the description box you're going to find all the names of the decks I'm mentioning today. I will try and put links if I have the spoons for it. I will make sure to leave the link to my second channel, The Waves of Your Soul Readings, where I actually put these decks to good use, as this is where I do monthly guidance, pick a pile readings. So that's where you can see all of these decks in use. If you like this tag, you can click on the hashtag and see everyone else's VRs. I haven't had much time to catch up on my fellow tarot tubers in the recent months. My life has been dedicated to my physical health, as I've been really struggling with chronic illness and chronic pain. I'm super behind on catching up on everyone's videos, but I'm sure there's plenty of cool people who have done VRs to this tag, as I know every year it's very popular, so definitely go and send some love to everyone else. Let's get into it. Midyear tarot tag, let's do this. Of course, I'll make sure to leave all the prompts that Chanel created in the description box as well, so that if you want to follow along. And so the first prompt is to share a deck you've used the most so far in 2025. I struggled a little bit with this one. I think that's the prompt I struggled the most with because a couple of reasons. One, I am a chaotic deck goblin, meaning that my mood varies a lot in terms of the deck I like to use. You know, in the book spaces, people say they're mood readers for books. I'm definitely a mood reader for tarot, so I struggle to stick with one tarot deck for more than a month. So I'm really not the kind of gal that will be happy using the same tarot deck for like 3 months in a row. I'm an Aries, I would get totally bored. But that being said, I think the deck I've used the most when I was thinking about not just readings for myself, but also readings for my second channel has to be the Little Frog's Guide to Self-Care. This is a mass market deck. It's an affirmation card deck, and I remember sharing this deck towards the end of last year and telling you I think I'm gonna use this a lot, and guess what? I was not wrong. I've been using this non-stop. Here are the backs, and we have 52 cards. The reason why this is my most used is because I've been pulling a card every single week. There are 52 cards in this deck, meaning that you can actually pull a card a week, and that's what I've done. In the deck, you get a little wooden stand, and I've been pulling a card every single week, and I've been leaving that card on my desk. So this is why this is my most used deck of the year, because I've literally been pulling a card a week and using this pretty much since the 1st of January. On top of that, I've used this a ton to wrap up readings for friends, for my second channel, like I was saying, The Waves of Your Soul Readings, as a way to wrap up the reading, or even to give people a mantra for their week, for their month, for the season, whatever it may be. This works like a dream. So whilst I'm not the kind of gal that we use the same tarot decks for months at a time, I need variation. Like I told you, I'm a mood reader, so sometimes I want creepy, sometimes I want cute, sometimes I want fantasy, sometimes I want modern. When it comes to those kind of affirmation decks, I'm happy to leave them on my altar and pull a card a week, because it feels like a nice self-care routine I can give myself, and it doesn't feel boring, it doesn't feel repetitive. I find the affirmations in this one really rich, really powerful, whilst it's super cute, obviously. I mean, come on. The boots and the shoes are always a sleigh. So whilst it's adorable, it actually is quite deep, this deck. The affirmations are not fluffy at all, and I find that the combination of super cute artwork with profound affirmation is the perfect mix for me. And this is one that is a hit with every single person I share this deck with. I've gifted this deck to quite a few of my friends. Every single one is obsessed with it. This is a people pleaser, you guys. If you're looking for a cute present to a friend, even people who are not necessarily into cards, like we might be. They might not necessarily be deck goblins like us, but they like the idea of getting a little message a day or pulling a card a week. They like the idea of like little affirmation cards, self-care, self-love. This is just adorable, sweet, profound, affordable. I mean, there's literally, I don't have anything bad to say about this deck. It's wonderful, and it's definitely my most used. Should we pull a little card actually? Let's do this quickly. Let's get a little affirmation for everyone watching. What do we need to know for this week? Especially because it's, you know, crazy times right now. So what do we need to know? My pain can be transformed. My trauma can be transformed. My anger can be transformed. I mean, yes, this is definitely needed at this moment in time. There's so much going on collectively. There's a lot of grief, a lot of anger, a lot of despair for good reasons. So it's important we take care of ourselves and we remember we can use these energies for good, for change. Instead of letting them drain us, we can use them as fuel to create the change we want to see in the world. Forgot to say there's no huge guidebook because obviously the writing is on the card. You just get a little leaflet telling you like how you can use this, a little bit about what are affirmations. The next prompt is a new deck that came into your collection, and this is one you guys haven't seen yet because it literally arrived just after I filled my latest haul. It's always a way. It always happens to me. And it is a Kickstarter I backed, which was super quick actually. I was very surprised how quickly I received this, considering I'm waiting for Kickstarters that have backed months before this one. So this was one of the smoothest Kickstarter I've ever participated in, and I'm so pleasantly surprised because it's wonderful, you guys. Whales Can Save Us Oracle, and it came with this gorgeous print. The creator also of this deck created a tarot deck, which is in this art style, which I don't have. And the creator is called Isaac Andres. I believe they are Spanish. Like I said, this was a Kickstarter I backed. It arrived so fast. Production quality is beautiful. Honestly, I backed this because the art style focuses on whales, so that's all I needed to know. But looking at it now and reading the guidebook and seeing the effort made by the creator, I am even more impressed by everything that this is. This is so wonderful. In this one, we have 45 cards, and you can see we have text in English and text in Spanish. We have a little guidebook, which is super well created, full color. How beautiful is that? Honestly, like the production quality, everything, I'm so impressed. For each of the card, you have the text in English and in Spanish, which I love because I'm trying to get better at Spanish. One of my best friends is Spanish, and I've learned Spanish when I was at school for a few years, but I've definitely lost my practice. I'm much better at speaking English, obviously. I want to get back into it, so this is great actually for me. I'm going to try and read the messages in Spanish first, and then whatever I don't understand, I'll go back to the English one. And the guidebook is just wonderful. There's lots of little added illustration in the middle, which are so sweet. I'm just very impressed by the attention to detail in this. It's really, really well done. So this, as you might have guessed from the title, Whales Can Save Us, is a deck that focuses on whales illustration. Look at those gorgeous backs. So cute. I love it. It's super colorful. The cards are definitely larger. Don't get fooled by my orc hands. I have big hands. I don't have tiny princess hands, so that's something you should know. These cards are definitely larger, but for me it's perfect because this art style deserves to be enjoyed like very much blown out. And on every single card we have an image of the whale, of a different kind of whale, and then we have a question. So there's lots of different ways you can use this deck. You can use this deck for journaling prompts, which I think I might do actually as a way to get familiar with it. Pull a card and then answer that question in my journal. I've not been journaling for a long time because the last recent months I couldn't even hold a pen due to catching the mosquito-borne illness. My hands have been super painful. I couldn't even hold a pen, let alone write. So now that I'm starting to get back a little bit into it, even though it still gets painful quickly, I want to use this deck to get back into journaling, as I really feel like my soul is craving that. Another way I can see myself using this is to pull a card and obviously read the message in there. As in the guidebook, there's going to be a message about what it means, general guidance, empowering kind of messages, like a regular oracle deck. But one of the ways I see myself using this the most is actually to create spreads. Pull a card and then create a spread around this idea by using another tarot deck to make a whole little ritual for myself about, okay, what do I need to know right now? Pull a card about what I need to ask. For example, what desires am I ready to manifest in my life? And then I would go into another tarot deck and pull some cards to answer that question. I love doing that because these are questions. For me, it's perfect for these kinds of readings. Lots of different ways I can see myself using this. And on top of that, it's all about whales. And look at this art style. Come on. It's so beautiful. I cannot. Honestly, when I went on Kickstarter, I saw like 3 images and I was like, yep, take my money. I will support you. I hadn't even really looked too much into what the inspiration was, what it was about. I was like, honestly, your art style is wonderful. It's about whales, which is one of my favorite animals. So I will support you. And you know what? I have 0 regrets. This is wonderful. Right now in Reunion Island, we are starting whale season. Humpback whales are starting to come to the shores of Reunion Island to have their babies. Every year from June to September, we will be so blessed in Reunion and in the nearing islands like Mauritius and Madagascar and the Seychelles to be able to witness humpback whales and they're having their babies. And usually towards the end of September, they will start their journey back to the South Pole. So humpback whales are a very dear animal to my heart because I've grown up seeing them. I'm very passionate about their well-being. And so a deck like this that highlights the beauty and the wisdom of the whales is just perfect for me. So that's the latest deck in my collection. Prompt number 3 is a deck that could be better. And for this one, I was thinking about the Millennial Tarot. This is a mass market deck by Scott Bergman. This was a gift from one of my friends. And whilst I've been really enjoying reading with this because I think the key phrases on the cards are genius, I just don't love the art style. So I've been enjoying like how clever it is in terms of the millennial association, and the keywords, key phrases, which are very on brand for this century. You know, we have things like went viral, celebrity stylist, free giveaway, work besties. Like the association between tarot and those key phrases are genius, super, super smart. And this specifically to read for career readings or day-to-day matters, it slaps. It's awesome. It's such a good reader. But I found that when I read with this one, I tend to disregard the art style because personally, I find it a little bit ugly. I'm sorry. It's just not my preferred art style. I understand that this was created with the help of AI, and this was one of the first decks that actually used AI. So maybe this is why, maybe because now we're seeing AI decks that look so much better. Purely for that I say could be better. If I could have this deck with better art style, but the same key phrases, this would be amazing. The only reason why I'm saying this could be better is that a lot of the cards, aesthetic wise, I just don't like. I find it a little bit ugly and weird and not very appealing aesthetic wise. It's not my vibe. That being said, structure of the decks and the way that it ties like day-to-day concepts that we might encounter in our day-to-day life and with our friends and in our workspaces, etc. with tarot, I think that part is very smart, very unique and interesting. So I'm still using this one. I just kind of use it and do this. In my mind, I'm like not looking too much at the art style. And obviously, art is very subjective. Aesthetic things are very subjective. So this is obviously a very personal, biased opinion, right? Take what I say with a pinch of salt. The guidebook, though, is great with this one. And like I said, for career reading, day-to-day reading, I've really enjoyed it. And it has given me great readings. Like I did a career reading for a friend not long ago using this. And it was very helpful. So I'm not going to get rid of it. I just wish it looked nicer. Look at this boozy branch. No, I'm sorry. This egg looks rotten. I would not eat that. This egg, it looks like it's gonna start speaking soon because it's so old and moldy. Anyway, let me know if you guys have this one. I think it's a fairly popular one for good reasons because it's quite unique in its structure and it's quite cool. The fact that it referenced millennial culture. I don't know if I shared the backs, but here they are. We have avocados, very cute. Prompt number 4 is a deck you're currently using, and this is actually a deck that I had since last year, but I hadn't really bonded with it. I got this one from Cassandra from A Refill in Time. If you're watching, Cassandra, I'm sending you so many hugs. She was selling this one. It was her used copy and she was not bonding with it, and I picked it up at the same time as me doing a little order on her website. Originally, it's an indie deck. It's called The Lost Hollow. This is created by Pixel Occult, who has created many other awesome tarot decks. I would like to own more of them. Specifically, they've done a cyberpunk one, which looks awesome, but it's really hard to get their decks delivered to Reunion Island, which is why when I saw Cassandra was getting rid of her copy, I jumped on the occasion. Weirdly though, even though I've had this deck for a few months, maybe even like over 6 months now, yeah, maybe even like a year, I don't know. I've had this deck for a while. I hadn't really bonded with it, even though it's a deck I had wanted for ages. But now the time is right. And sometimes that happens with me, where I'll want a deck for a long time, and when I get my copy, I end up finding that it's not for me of right now. It's not for this season of my life. So if that happens, I usually put the deck on the side. I trust my intuition that told me to get the deck in the first place. And I will find that oftentimes it can be a month later, 2 months later, sometimes even 6 months later, I feel called to use that deck. And then for that moment in time for my future self, it's absolutely perfect. This is exactly what happened with me and this particular deck. I've had it for a while. I didn't really bond with it that much, even though it was one of those decks I was so excited to get and I had on my wish list for ages. Once I had it in my hand, I didn't feel called to use it, but now it's been a few months and I've been really craving this like dark, moody kind of vibe, and this is absolutely perfect. Right now, for where I live, we are in like autumn, beginning of winter, which is probably why this feels more appealing to me than when I was back in the summertime. I am very in the mood of doing what I'm calling summerween right now, which is like summer Halloween, where I'm craving like gothic reads. I'm reading a lot of books that feel a little bit gothic, feel a little bit dark, feel a little bit like fantasy horror vibes. I'm craving a lot of my decks right now that are this kind of moody aesthetic, a little bit dark again, a little bit creepy. Even in my media consumption, like I'm really enjoying right now the latest Critical Role season, which is very, again, moody, gothic, a little bit creepy, which if you guys are watching, let me know. But this deck feels like that world. Exactly. What is it called? Fallen Umbra or Lost Umbra, something like that. I can't remember exactly the name, but it's the latest season from Critical Role where they are using Daggerheart. It's set in this like gothic kind of world, very creepy. Feels like this deck is perfect for that mood, which is exactly my mood right now. Like I said, the books I'm reading, I'm enjoying right now reading vampire stories and gothic stories, T. Kingfisher and the likes. So this has been absolutely perfect and I've been adoring it so much at this moment in time. I'm so glad I bought it when I could, because whilst I didn't bond with it when I bought it, it feels so perfect for where I am in my life right now. So sometimes you just gotta give your decks a chance, right? If you don't bond with a deck immediately, I have found with experience over years of consuming decks, reading with decks, collecting decks, that it's okay to give yourself a chance. It's okay to put them on the side. If you don't bond with a deck immediately, it doesn't mean you will not in 6 months, a month, or a year. Sometimes a deck is for a specific season in your life, and if you felt called to a deck, but you end up not bonding with it immediately, I would recommend giving it time, leaving it on the side, and you might be surprised at the number of time you will get called to pull it back out later on in your life. Oftentimes I have found those decks are actually for our future selves, and this is exactly what's happened for me with this deck. I adore the limited color palette, I adore the diversity in here, I adore the fact that we have visibility in this one, which is quite rare in like fantasy or the worldly kind of decks to have disability representation. So I really appreciate that, and it's beautiful. I mean, look at this. It's awesome. It's toss-based, which is not my preferred system, but I don't mind. I mean, look at this. This is so cool. So I'd love to know if you guys have any Pixel Occult decks, which are your favorites. Let me know in the comments. I would love to get my hands on their cyberpunk one, but like I said, it's so hard to get their decks shipped to Reunion, but it's definitely one day I'll have their cyberpunk one and I'll be a very happy deck builder. Prompt number 4 is the biggest surprise of the year. honestly, no brainer with this one because I did not expect to enjoy this deck as much as I've been enjoying it, and that is the Granny's Postcard Tarot. This is an indie deck I got on Salon des Arcanes from Nicolas' shop that's based in France, but I think you can also get it on Etsy. It's a deck, as the name suggests, that is using old postcards. Whilst I was always curious about it and I always thought it was cool, I also kind of got it as a, yeah, let's try it out, not really thinking much about it. And it turns out to be both fun, but also a sniper, which I did not expect. So here are the backs, and the cardstock with this one is the strangest cardstock I've ever seen in the deck. It feels like sandpaper almost. I don't know if you can hear that. It feels like textures, like sandpaper, but then it does shuffle really well. It's the strangest cardstock I've ever seen in my life. Don't mind it, it's just very weird and unique. So that's also why it was surprising. I did not expect the cardstock to be so strange. I mean, I have over 300 decks right now, and this is still the weirdest, strangest, most unique cardstock I've ever felt in my life. Like I said, this is a very strange deck. I was always a little bit curious about it, but I also didn't expect much from it. I was like, yeah, it's cute, but some cards I really like and some cards I really don't like. So I wasn't sure how it was gonna read, because even art style wise, obviously because it's reusing pre-existing postcards, the style is very different. Sometimes we have pictures, sometimes we have cartoons, sometimes it's cute, sometimes it's a little bit cheeky like this one. So the art style varies, and that means that there are some cards that I love and some cards that I really don't vibe with. And so I wasn't sure how it was gonna read. I was like, let me give it a chance because it's interesting and unique in my collection, but I'm not sure I'm gonna bond with this. And surprisingly, which is why it's in this category, this reads really well, and it actually is a sniper. This slaps, okay? This will tell you the truth. This is one of those decks that I've gotten this year that is the most accurate. It will tell you exactly what's going on. If you need to do predictive reading, fortune telling kind of vibe, this is amazing. I'm still blown away by the readings I've done with this one. It is such a sharpshooter. I did not expect that. Like, I thought it was unique, I thought it was interesting, I thought let me give it a chance because I don't really have any other deck like this in my collection. I did not expect for this to be such a good reader. So that was the biggest surprise. It's not my preferred aesthetic necessarily. There's definitely some cards that I prefer. Like, this is absolutely adorable. I love that. But then there are definitely some cards that I don't like at all. And yet, in action, I can't fault this deck. It reads really good. So that's my biggest surprise of the year. I did not expect to get such good readings with such a weird, quirky deck. It's not necessarily my preferred aesthetic all the way through, but if it works, it works. And with this one, it works. So I'm not gonna ask too many questions. I'm gonna appreciate the fact that it reads good, that it gives me awesome readings, that it tells me the tea. I don't know what it is about this deck, but I'm very surprised. Prompt number 6 is my deck crush. I have to give it to the children of Litha, because if I think of deck crush and this year, I think this is the one I've had the biggest crush on so far this year. This is actually a deck I owned back in 2019 that I got rid of way too quickly, that I regretted getting rid of ever since. And then when at the end of last year, the creator did a Kickstarter for her latest deck, the Children of Ostara, and we could get our hand on this one as well. I jumped on the occasion because I had been missing this deck in my life ever since I decided to get rid of it. And I'm so glad I got my hands on it again because it's been a huge favorite this year so far. Here are the backs. This one is a matte cardstock. We have a wonderful guidebook where we have poems for each of the card, which I absolutely love. I think that's such a nice touch when creators do that. And this is a deck that is inspired by fantasy but also nature. For the minors we have animals, but for the majors we have fae-like beings, which are kind of like communicating with the animal world. So you're gonna see here, for example, the King of Swords, and they have their peacock companion. Of each of the suit depicts different kinds of animals. So all of the wands are felines, all of the cups are marine animals. So even the structure of the deck is really interesting. And the minors are a little bit more peepish, I think, which is probably why I got rid of it when I first got this deck originally. And yet it was such a mistake because this is absolutely amazing. And now I could not fault this deck. Now it is perfect to me. I adore every single one of the Major Arcana. I think it's one of the most beautiful decks that I own. I adore the Fey-like beings. I love the court cards. I want to read the story of every single one of those court cards. I feel like they would be amazing main characters of fantasy book. I think the art style is breathtaking. The poems in the guidebook are wonderful. The animal companion and animal wisdom in this one is gorgeous. This is everything I love in a deck. It's a little bit fantasy, it's a little bit nature inspired, it's beautiful art style, and it has a gorgeous guidebook. For me, perfect 10 out of 10, chef's kiss. I can't fault this deck, and this is absolutely a huge favorite this year. I've definitely used this a ton in between other decks. I continue to come back to it, and I will continue to use it the rest of the year. So definitely prepare to say this in my yearly favorite, because I can't get enough. It's just so beautiful, really well thought out, of intention. That's the Children of Lisa Tarot, and again, I have no words, just absolute adoration for this one. Prompt number 7 is a favorite single tarot card from a deck. Honestly, for me, pretty much every single card from the Story Medicine Tarot Animal Woman. This is the 2nd edition. I got this deck again from Salon des Arcanes earlier this year, and every single card in this deck is profound, gut-wrenching, and yet poetic and inspirational. But there is one specific card that every time I get, I just feel a sense of awe and gratitude, and it's this one, the 4 of Swords, and it says, I do not hurry my healing process. I find this card absolutely gorgeous. It's healing, it's profound. It reminds me that resting is productive, that I'm allowed to take time when I'm struggling with my chronic pain and chronic illness. It reminds me that I'm not alone, that I have beings and guides around me helping me during my difficult times. And I just find this card absolutely meaningful and very profound. So honestly, every single one of the cards from the Story Animal is amazing, but I think this one is my absolutely favorite. And every time I pull it, my soul feels warm and fuzzy. This is another deck I've absolutely been adoring this year. Absolutely beautiful, very profound deck, divine feminine focused on animal wisdom. This is a deck that has been there for me through a lot of difficult times this year. I'm so grateful for its wisdom. I'm so grateful for its vulnerability, for its story, for the way that it will meet you where you are. And this is absolutely a work of art, and I'm very grateful that Jessica created this for us because it's so special. Prompt number 9 is a great guidebook. I have to give this one to the Peculiar Pathways Tarot, which is an indie deck by Lennox Reese. It's my first deck by Lennox, but I'm in love and I want all of her decks. And this is actually a guidebook that is on PDF format. You can buy it as a printed, separate printed guidebook. At the time, I didn't have the funds to get the printed guidebook with it, so I got the PDF version. But if one day I can get my hands on the printed guidebook, I absolutely will, because I've been consulting the PDF guidebook on my phone constantly when I use this deck, and I would love to have the printed version as well. So here are the backs. The sides are in this gorgeous sage green matte color, and this is a very unique deck in my collection as it is using like old style engravings, black and white engravings on top of colorful backgrounds. I adore this deck so much. This is another one that I expect to see in my top 10 favorites of the year. I've been using it a lot this year ever since I've gotten this. And like I said, every time I use it, I consult the guidebook on my phone, the PDF guidebook, because it's so good, you guys. I'm blown away by how much work was put into this deck. Every single card that you look up on the guidebook, it will tell you exactly why this symbol, why the scale, why the ferret, why the flowers. Like every single choice, every single symbol on every single card is explained for the majors, the minors, and the court cards. And that just gives you so much insight as to the intention of the creator, as to the work they've put into this one, and the amount of effort that they've poured into this deck. So I love to see the intent behind it. I love to see why they decided to include a helmet, why they decided to include a crown, right? The fact that every single symbol is detailed and explained on the guidebook has made me bond with this deck a lot more, and I absolutely adore this one. Like I said, it's really cool, really unique. I love to use this one for day-to-day matters, career reading, things like that, but I've also been using it for past lives readings, and it's so good for that. Like, I was really surprised. The fact that there's no people, actually for past life readings, it's so good because you get hints as to what the past life was about without necessarily narrowing it down to a gender or an age or something like that, with more like the themes of the past life and what happened without necessarily getting bogged down to you were a man, you were a woman, or whatever, because gender is fluid. So I like to use this deck a lot for past life readings as well, and I need to do that on my second channel. Actually, I need to do a past life reading for you guys using this. So this is reminding me. Look at this. I think this is my favorite card of the deck, the 9 of coin with the bird and the snail. It's so cool. It's just so cool. So this is absolutely the best guidebook that I've read this year. I definitely plan on getting my hands on it next time I see it in one of the shops I shop at, because it will be one of those that is worth purchasing the printed guidebook format, and that says a lot, as normally I'm happy to consult the guidebooks in my phone or whatever. So for me to be willing to purchase the printed guidebook separately, it tells you a lot. I really want Lennox's other decks. There was one about the forest that I missed out on that I really want to get my hands onto, and I think right now she's working on an ocean theme deck, which screams my name. So I'll definitely be picking both of those up at some point because I'm obsessed with this creator. So good. Prompt number 10 is, what deck do you want by the end of the year or are still waiting on? I thought I would share with you some of the Kickstarters or pre-orders I'm waiting on. The first one is the latest version of the Stunning Tarot by Jonas Ayaus. I'll put an image here. Stunning Tarot is one of my favorite decks ever. I have the first edition. I've used that deck to death. I always told myself I would not get a new version because I didn't want it to compete with my first edition. But now that I'm seeing my first edition starting to get a little bit worn, I'm starting to be a little bit worried about not being able to use it for a long time. And because it's one of my favorite decks, I saw she was making a new version earlier this year. I was like, okay, let me get it. At least I have a backup. I can compare the two versions, and at least I won't get so worried about using my first edition no more, as I know I will be able to continue appreciating this deck. So I'm super excited about this, actually, as it's a new format. There are some card changes, so whilst it's a deck I already own, it won't feel like a repetition, as there's definitely like enough difference to make this feel like a new deck, if that makes sense. A couple of Kickstarters I'm waiting for that I'm very excited. We have the Windbell Island Tarot. I leave an image here. It just looked beautiful and whimsical, and it's an RWS station, and I thought, you know what, this screams my name. So I'm still waiting for that. And another one is the Lady Pirate Tarot that the creators of the Baroque Tarot did. They've done a tarot deck alongside an RPG game. I didn't get any of the RPG related rewards, but I did get the tarot deck, which is inspired by pirate women, and I love pirates. One of my passions is pirate story, pirate history. I live in a tropical island in the Indian Ocean, and the history here in the Indian Ocean is so rich. A lot of people are familiar with the Caribbean pirates, not so much familiar with the Indian Ocean pirates, and yet we have some wonderful story here of pirates, and this deck focusing on not just pirates but women pirate. I was like, say no more. This screams my name. So I'm really excited to get my hands on this one, as I know it's a subject I really am passionate about, and I'm gonna be enjoying this one a lot. I already know. In the comments if you guys have backed any of those. The other decks you guys are waiting on. I'm waiting for a lot of Kickstarters, not just these ones. I'm waiting for at least like 10, I think. But these are like the highlights, I will say. Prompt 11 is a deck you haven't used yet or barely, but that you want to work with this year. And I was looking at my shelves earlier today, and I realized that I definitely have not worked with this one enough, and that is the Exile Tarot. This is the Awaken edition. I think the reason why I didn't work with this one enough yet is because it arrived at a time where I got a lot of decks at once. Sometimes that happens if I get a lot of decks at the same time. Some of them might fall through the crack, and it often happens to me because of where I live in Reunion. We might not get post for a few weeks, and then everything will arrive at once if the decks are coming by boat. So when the boat arrives, I'll get like 3, 4, 5 decks at once, and then I won't get anything for another month and a half, 2 months. Even though I've ordered the decks at different times, they might all come at once. So I think this is what happened with this one, and I need to remedy that. So first up, we have gorgeous hollow edging. We have these beautiful backs, and I've put it back in order actually, because I've realized I haven't worked with this one enough. So I've put it back in order, spend time with it, maybe do a little bit of journaling, looking at each of the images, and then I'm gonna make a conscious effort to use this one for myself and then for readings for you guys. I love the Monsoon Tarot by the same creators, so I'm really dumb that I haven't used this one much, because it's definitely kind of art style that I love. I love the whimsy of it. I love the fact that it feels like, again, fantasy world, very fantastical. This is an aesthetic and a vibe that I adore. So I'm really a dum-dum for not having given this deck more of a chance. I've done a couple of readings with it, but not enough. I haven't used it enough to get a proper kind of opinion of it. I haven't used it for anyone else but me, so that tells me that I need to work with it more, and I'm gonna make an effort this year for the rest of the year to find time to spend time with it, because it's really cute and whimsical and beautiful and a little bit imaginative, which I really like. It's definitely like strange in a way that I appreciate, takes you to another world. I find the art style really beautiful. I love the fact that on these we have actually faces drawn, whereas on the Monsoon a lot of the faces were not drawn. I got the Awakened version when I got this one. For that reason, I wanted the faces to be drawn, and I'm sure I'm gonna love reading with this, because literally every single card, there's so much going on. You feel like you're taken into this magical world. It really doesn't feel like an RWS clone, right? It feels like it very much its own interpretation. There's so many details in this world that I already know I'm gonna get a lot of amazing hints in this one. I just need to sit down and actually do the damn thing. The other reason why I haven't managed to work with this one, even though it was my plan earlier this year, is because I've lost like 2 months of deck use pretty much because of the chikungunya, because of catching this shitty mosquito illness. For about 2 months, I was unable to hold my decks, to shuffle decks, to do anything with my hands. So that also meant that a lot of my plans for bonding with decks I hadn't used yet got pushed down. So it definitely fucked up all my plans of working with the decks I wanted to, because I lost 2 months of reading, pretty much, of tarot reading and oracle reading. I'm getting back into it right now, but 2 months over a whole year for me, who normally uses decks all the time, it's a lot. So I need to get back into the swing of things. There are still some days where I can't shuffle and can't use my hands the way I want to, so I'm gonna have to be patient, and I'm taking one day at a time. But this is definitely high on my list of decks I want to work with before the end of the year, because every time I look at it, I'm like, damn, this is so beautiful. So I need to get around to it. And I just love like the whimsy, the little storybook feeling of it. I'm curious to see how it's gonna read for me once I give it more time to shine. So let me know if you guys have this one, if you've worked with it, if you enjoy it, the kind of readings you guys like to do with this one. Prompt number 12 is a fave video you've made or you've seen. Very quickly, I will just shout out my second channel, The Waves of Your Soul Readings. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I launched it at the beginning of 2025. It's something I had been wanting to do for ages, making a dedicated channel to pick up high readings, tarot readings, to actually read the cards for you guys. I had been wanting to separate my tarot readings with my tarot lovers videos for ages, and I finally took that leap of faith earlier this year, and I'm very proud of myself for doing that, because starting a channel from scratch when you already have one feels very scary, and so I am proud of myself for doing that, and I'm very grateful for all the wonderful comments I get on there, for every single one of you already subscribed there. I'm having such a good time reading the cards for you guys. Reading the cards is my love language, it's my passion, so definitely the favorite videos I've made so far this year are my videos on that channel, because reading the cards for you guys is such a joy, and having both spaces, this space where I can gush out and be my deck goblin self, talking about my passion of the cards, but then having another space where I get to read the cards for you guys and put these decks in practice practice, it just feels like really good. It feels really balanced, and I'm just very grateful. I have 2 spaces to expand my passion, and it just feels awesome. That's my favorite thing I made this year, is taking the leap to create the Waves of Your Soul readings. And I just realized I forgot prompt 8, which is deck that makes you happy. So we're gonna go back because apparently I can't count. Are we surprised? I'm not surprised at all. So let's go back. Prompt number 8 is a deck that makes you happy. Right now, I have to give it to the Magical Arcana Tarot. This is a deck that was created with the help of AI by Yena from Soul Shadow Tarot. She sent me this deck. I'm so grateful to her because I adore it so much. I don't know if this is still in print or not, as it was a limited edition, so I'm not sure. But this has just brought me so much joy, and I adore it so much. It's a deck that is inspiring itself from our childhood animes, from our childhood mangas, and it's full of nostalgia and joy. And right now it is everything I need. It's colorful and whimsical and magical, and it helps me get in touch with my inner child. I'm so grateful to Yena for sending this my way, because this I will cherish forever. This feels like my childhood deck dream come true. I just adore it so much. Knight of Wands, which is one of my significator, is absolutely badass. I love it so much. This is one of my favorite Knight of Wands ever, and the Knight of Wands is one of my favorite cards in tarot. So this is so cool. I'm really, really grateful. I adore it so much. Every time I use it, it makes me happy. This could have been in the decks I'm using right now, because I'm also using it at the moment. I've been using it ever since Sienna sent it my way. This is my biggest good mood deck of 2025, I think. It's just adorable, whimsical, cute, well thought out, like with all of Yena's decks, very clever in the structure, in the choices of the artwork, and I adore it so much. So much. I'm gonna leave it at that. I want to say thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you so much to Chanel for creating this tag and offering it to us every year. I have so much fun every year picking these prompts up. It's such a nice way to look back on the last 6 months and on my tarot practice. Feel free to let me know in the comments the answers to these questions for you. I'd love to see how you would respond to these prompts, if you have any of the decks I've shared or not. And until my next video, I'm sending you so much good vibes. Keep navigating the waves of your soul, and see you soon, internet. Bye!